Hello everyone, my name is Jenna Goose and I am going to present to you on my research project for Biz 1111 Business Research Methods on support for the smoke-free campus policy among Cambrian College students. This research was conducted from September 2023 until the end of the term in December 2023. I started the research process by creating a general research topic, objective, and question. I had noticed as a faculty at Cambrian that some students have not been following the smoke-free campus policy rules by smoking within the campus vicinity. I did not know if this was a lack of knowledge toward the policy or if students were not intentionally following it. So this brought me to be interested in my topic on smoke-free campus policies. My objective is to research how the smoke-free campus policy is currently being promoted by the college and if that influences students' perception of the policy. The specific question I had is if attitudes of the students influence their compliance. So is it the students that don't agree with the policy that are breaking the rules, or do the students just not know about it? In order to learn more about this topic, I conducted some secondary research. Two of the articles I investigated are found below. Breaking character for a second here, you have to summarize 5 as a student. You have 5 topics from your research matrix or 5 articles from your research matrix. I only had 2 in my example. My 2 articles were called University Staff and Students' Attitudes Towards a Completely Smoke-Free Campus by Sendel et al. This article examined attitudes of students and asked them about if they complied with the policies. So this was very similar to my topic. They found that students' attitudes did seem to have some influence on their compliance, but it's a little bit different than my study because it was conducted at a university in Australia, and these students might be different than those at an Ontario college. The second study was by Braverman et al., and it was called Predicting Students' Noncompliance with the Smoke-Free University Policy. This had more information on how attitude does influence compliance, and it also included specific recommendations on how campuses can help students to stop smoking. Again, this specific article was for a university in the US, and that again could be different than students at Cambrian. So I concluded that I needed to do my own research. In order to do your own research, Cambrian has a specific policy that must be followed. The first element of that policy is that I needed to complete the TCPS2 course certificate to learn about research ethics when working with human participants. Here is my completed certificate. I also had to fill in the student application form for course-based research in order to get my research process approved by my professor. My topic was approved, and in that course-based research form, I proposed creating a questionnaire. I created an electronic questionnaire in Microsoft Forms that had 15 questions. I organized my questionnaire into topic-specific questions about smoke-free campus policies, and then demographic questions. I had many different types of question types, including text-based, category, numerical, but I will show you an example of my Microsoft Forms questionnaire. Here is my Microsoft Forms questionnaire. It begins with a statement of informed consent, where I let participants know exactly what they're getting into completing the questionnaire, and let them know that their responses will be kept anonymous. I also give them my contact information. I then ask for informed consent so that the participant has to agree that they've read and agree to participate and select yes before they can see any other questions. Once they select yes, they'll then launch into the section on smoking habits. First, I thought it was relevant to ask if the student even smokes, because not smoking on campus and following those rules won't really be an issue if you do not smoke. After I asked if they smoke, I decided to ask how much they smoke in a day, because if they're a very, very light smoker, they might not feel the need to smoke on campus. I also thought it would be interesting to see when they first started smoking. This is more of a question that will help me gauge if they have been smoking for a long time, if this is a newer development, and also compare to some demographic information later on in the questionnaire. Also, I did want to ask about students' opinions on smoking. So I asked them to rank how important they think cannabis or tobacco use is in terms of like peer influence, adult influence, etc. This could be important if students feel they're being influenced by their peers whether to smoke or not smoke on campus. Finally, I asked specific questions about the smoke-free campus policy, like are they aware of the policy, because I think that might be a reason why the rules are being broken. How did they become aware of the policy, if they are aware of it? And then I asked Likert questions. So because these ask for agreement, these are sequenced towards the end of the questionnaire because they are more difficult to answer. The students have to rank if they agree with each of the following statements about what they would do if they saw people breaking the rules, if they agree with the policies, etc. I then asked some questions related to if they think smoking zones would be better and if they've ever broken the rules. These might seem like simple yes-no questions, but because they have to deal with challenging the college's existing policies and breaking the rules, they are sequenced last because they have to deal with admitting to doing something you weren't supposed to do on campus. Finally, I end with my demographic questions on gender, age, and highest degree of level or schooling completed, just so I can look to see if there's any patterns between who is breaking the rules and who is following the rules. I then have an opportunity where participants can provide any feedback they'd like on the questionnaire and just rate how they feel overall before wrapping up with a reminder asking participants to make sure they've answered all of the questions. So I did try to sequence my questions from easy to more difficult. More difficult could be questions about breaking the rules or ones you have to think more carefully about, like Likert questions, where the easy ones are usually your typical yes-no type questions. After I created the questionnaire and got approval, I did a convenience sample of 20 students from all full-time Cambrian College students on the Barrytown campus. I went into the cafeteria and showed them my recruitment poster, which is displayed here. They could simply scan the QR code, take 10 minutes of their time to answer my questions, and their responses would be recorded anonymously. Once I received 20 responses, I concluded the sampling process. And I next analyzed those results that I collected from the 20 students in Microsoft Excel. From Microsoft Excel, I was able to generate the following information. I found that most students did strongly agree with the policy. That was the most popular answer. But most students were also non-smokers, with 83% of people at Cambrian not smoking. Only 7% of students actually admitted to breaking the rules on campus. So when I put all of these results together into some concrete conclusions to answer my research topic, what I found is that most students strongly agree with smoke-free campus policies, and there is not 100% compliance with the policies currently on campus. There seems to be some relationship between compliance and agreement with the policy. When I looked in more detail about who was breaking the rules, so who those 7% of people who broke the rules were, they were people who said that they did not agree with the smoke-free campus policy on that Likert scale question. So when I examined that more in depth, I found that there was a relationship. Finally, some recommendations. Many of the secondary articles that I researched found that it is important to try to help students stop smoking and let them know about the policy. So at Cambrian, I would also recommend a new marketing campaign to continue to promote the policy and increase awareness about the policy, especially as many students come back to Cambrian in person after COVID and being away from the campus. This policy could help to clearly explain the rules so students know what's allowed and what's not allowed. I do admit that there are some limitations of my study. I only asked 20 students of all full-time students at Cambrian College, and I think that it would be important to re-administer the questionnaire, perhaps even next semester or next year, to see if students' opinions seem to change over time the longer that they are students at Cambrian and learn more about the rules. I also think information should be collected to see if students would prefer smoking zones, so areas where you are allowed to smoke, rather than just not being allowed to smoke at all while on campus. Thank you so much for your time and for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions about my research, please do not hesitate to contact me at jenna.goose@cambriancollege.ca. Thank you so much for your time. Goodbye.